Let's play a closed game of Triple Triad. We got second turn. Our hand is horrific going left. We have a lot of A's up and down. We're not even good going to the right. Normally, in a hand where you're just horrible going left, you're going to have some power to the right, but we are completely up down. So, what we'd really hate to see this game is a starter in 4 or 6. If that was the case, we could probably just like forfeit on the spot because we will never have any play against anything. But they don't know that. So, it is pretty unlikely that something like that happens. What I do want to do is one instinct I have is say they play a corner starter. If they play in 1, I would much rather play in 3 than play in 7. Because if I play in 7, the game's going to be left. But this is let's say they start in 3. I'd rather play in 1 where there's going to be targets above than play in 9 where there will be targets to the right. I also, if they play in somewhere like 1, I would rather play in 8 than 6 because I need the game to be up down. And 8 kind of forces that, while 6 forces it to be side to side. I really do not want any cards played in the early game to be in 4 or 6. That really dictates a side to side game in a way that this hand does not want. If they did start in 1, I think it would be better to play just like without looking too much at the specific cards. We may end up going against this. Better to play in 3 than in 9 because our hand just directionally needs that. I also don't think we should really want to play in 5 if they go in a square like 1. Now, maybe it sets us up really well. Maybe for whatever reason they play like a card with an A down and a 5 to the right, and playing A8, 7, 4, and 5 just sets us up so beautifully that we have to do it. But in general, I don't want to do that because that helps the game keep the kind of direction it currently has to some extent. Though 5 moves, one thing about 5 moves is a lot of players play 9 in response, and 9 lets us do lots of different things. The slash means the directionality doesn't matter as much. However, if they go 1 and we go 5 and they go 6, we're locked into a side to side game and we're miserable. If they go 8, though, we get an up down game and we're pretty happy. So maybe 5 is kind of defensible. Okay, they go in 9. This is the part of the board we're happiest to see them play. Obviously, they don't know this, but we can still be happy about it. And we already have play against this in 8. It is also a strong corner, which means it is hard for them to play around it if we have combo potential, which is really nice for us. I think the move I'm going to make is 8, 7, 8, 6, and 3. I want to play in 3 rather than 7 because I want the game to be. Well, I'd rather play in 7 on an up down level, but I so don't want the game to be going left. Yeah, I know I said earlier stuff that would imply I'd rather go 7, but really, we don't have 6 and we should set up 6. So we should play 3 if we're going to set up 6. And the only way to set up 6 is to go 3. And we could do that a few different ways. We could play with an A down or an 8 down. An A down gives us more ways to do it, but no way to lock that card in if needed. And what I like about 8, 7, 8, 6, and 3, which we're going to play, is we can lock that in with A6, 8, 5, and 4. We don't have a great way to lock it in from 6, but we can't have everything. The downside of this move is it is potentially a very good card I'm giving up. For instance, it would be pretty easy to imagine something where we end up having to play with an A down in 5 and need to take it back from 8 and just don't have a way to do so with 8, 7, 8, 6 out of our hand. So maybe this was too high a cost, but A4, A2 can do some up down covering in the same way if needed. So I think, yeah, I could imagine us not having a card to put in 6 now. Maybe I should have thought more about this. Because if we put A8, 7, 4 to block 6, then we give up 8. And if we play A4, A2, that might be too important to hold on to. And A6, 8, 5 flips 9, which means we walk into a bunch of combo potential. And 7, 7, 8, 5 doesn't reflip 3. So we could have a problem Sunday in 6, but it's also very unlikely we'll have to play 6 in these structures. One thing I'm very tempted to do if we are given a free turn is play a6, 8, 5, and 2, because it might be really hard for them to play 6 as well. How many cards in 6 are safe to combo from 9 and flip 3? You know, anything with an A up needs, isn't going to be safe down unless it's a rare. Anything with a 9 up needs to be like exactly chrono, basically. So some kind of like 9 4 a6. Just most cards aren't like that. It's easy to have a hand of 3 or 4 cards that don't have something like that. So that is a possible thing to consider. Obviously, I don't like our hand. I've played 4 closed games in the last month or so. I have 2 ties and 2 wins. This is my third second turn, I think, in those games. I got 2 first turns, first turds, but I think I got 2 second turns in my next 2 games. Okay. Now that's a kind of interesting card for us, just because we do have so much combo play against it. But we have kind of nothing challenging we can do here. One thing it says is they probably do have 6. That's something it says. And we really have a problem in 6, because actually what I'd like to do most here is drop something in 6, and if they take from 5, we can combo back through 8. But we have nothing we can put in 6 that does that. There is the question of, could we play 5, force them to go 6, and hope to combo it? But odds are they have something to put there. And we have no way of sliding around their current card. This is actually quite annoying. I could go with the plan of going in 2, but I think it just gives them 1 too freely now. Yeah, I don't like this. One thing also is if we played 5 and we ever had to go 6, we're going to be weak to 5. Maybe that doesn't matter. I really don't like this. Okay, maybe we do go 6. What if I stick Luna Freya in 6? I think Luna Freya is a pretty dead card. If we put Luna Freya in 6, whatever they take with from 5 is not going to take it with a 2. They're going to be very susceptible to combos, and we might have play against it. And because they put a card in 4 or 6, the game suddenly got side to side. I completely failed to force it to be an up-down game. Their move in 4 really dictates away from that. Maybe I could have played in 1 or 7, but I like having combo potential there. I think that's kind of where my hope is this game, is that I can sneak something there. But I don't know. This is going to be a clumsy finish. I think I'm in trouble. I think I'm in serious trouble. Yeah, I wish with my move in 3 that I'd had something to drop in 6 that like was comfortable. I think this is one of my bigger weaknesses in closed, is that I play moves that set up parts of my hand but don't fit other parts. Or which is to say, like, I often set up a square such that all my cards kind of do something there, but I don't actually want all my cards to be able to do something there. Okay. They took, and they took in a way that is safe, to 4. So if we combo through 4, we no longer get them. Okay. We have 8, but I think we have to assume. I think we have to assume they have 2. But if they have 2, they might have to overpower. And if they have to overpower in 2 to get their combo, because they almost certainly have a double number down right. They played lock in 9. That tells us something. That's information. They have a double number down right. They have something for 2. However, if that number, so if that's Kate Sith, we're dead. If it's Ash, we're dead, right? 766A. If it's like 6886 or something like that, we can combo A's facing out. We can combo 9s facing out with A685. We can combo 6s. 778 A5 gives us 8s, but nothing else. But we can combo A's, 9s, 8s, 6s facing out. So we have some potential there. And I'm not sure we have other options than to go 8. If we go 8 and they have it, then we have to go 7. And it will be 5-5, and we just have to hope they can't take the 8 facing down, which they almost certainly can. This is probably a losing plan. We go 8. If we go 8 and they go 7, then we flip so many cards that as long as they don't combo us on the final turn when we stick a 4 facing out, or 5, I guess, facing out, we tie. But we probably lose to 2, and we should be pretty confident they have a card for 2. And if it's like Kate Sith or Ash, we are just dead immediately. We have to hope it's 6886 or like 6779 kind of card, which is very possible. So maybe we do go for that. Is there anything else to do? I don't think we want to go in 2. We'd much rather land 8 than 2, even if we're confident they have 2 and we're not confident they have 8. So the question is, can we start in 1 or 7? If we're going to start in one of them, we have to start in 1, because if we start in 7, they're likely to occupy 8, and we have nothing for 2. So we need to start in 1, hope they play 2, and then we get 8. I am worried if we go 1 that they go 7, and if they can set up their card, I guess if it's Kate Sith, we're dead anyway. Yeah, I don't believe in that, but it'll be interesting to see if we see, as we're going to see all their remaining cards, we can look back at this position after and think, would it have been better to play, let's say, A685 in 7? But I don't think so, because I guess we sometimes combo back through 3, but I'm going to go with this. We'll think about afterwards if the other option was in fact better. But I think we're about to lose this game. We really have to hope that their card for 2 is not a good one. 6779, I believe, is a card. Is that Nanaki? Or is Nanaki 6977? It might be 6977. I think there is a 6779. 8776 would be great to see. 6886. There are lots of cards we have good play against if they land in 2. 5996 is another one. There are many plausible cards we beat. Or at least that we have a counter to. I'm also hoping they can't combo this 4 on A874. That would obviously be a big problem too. But, we can't be too fussed about such things. Because they could play 2 and we play 1, and then they actually just combo back everything in 7. So there is an additional way we lose here. But, what can you do? This was not an easy hand or an easy play out. Because I think last close game I played, I had a fairly bad hand, but the way it played out, the hand didn't really have any problems, and that was just, I got lucky, right? And it's not like your opponent does anything wrong when that happens, necessarily. It's just, okay. They had 3898. So that's interesting, because we can actually combo through. If we combo through in 1 with A685, we flip 4, which flips 7, which flips 8. 9 is safe. That guarantees a 5-5. At least. And they have to take 3 different 6s. They probably can. Again, we really think they have a card for this. But 6886 wouldn't do it, 8776 wouldn't do it, 5996 wouldn't do it. The kind of cards where they might have been scared to go in two. Like if they have Kate Sith, they probably just go two. If they have Ash, they just go two. The reason they wouldn't go two is because they're scared to do it, and they're only scared to do it if the down right is really high. And if the down right is really high, they're less likely to be able to take some random thing facing left. Now, we should play one, even if this wasn't true, because if we go in two, we are never, like, they're going to be able to take a five. And if they combo us, we lose. Well, if we play in one, and even if they have the triple capture and the combo, and we strongly think they have the combo, we still tie. So we're going to play in one. But I think there's actually pretty decent winning chances here. Because so many cards that are good for two, but that wouldn't go in two immediately, cannot actually take the six here. Um, what are other cards with double numbers facing there? Obviously, I do not have perfect recall. Double A rares, obviously don't take it. This did. But you can see, like, I made kind of the right call here, which is they definitely have a double number down right, and it's high. It's big stuff facing out. So here we would have tied either one or two, but it's big stuff facing out, and that means it's a little less likely they have the thing to the left, but it's also why they wouldn't want to go in two immediately, because if we can combo that, which we could, we win. Yeah, interesting game there. So then the question is, would this have gone better for me if I'd started in one? If I'd started in one and they played two, then we do actually win in eight. Um, because if we start in one, this is out of the T, so cards in 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. If we start in one and they play two, they take everything. The only card that's ours is 9. But 9 and 4, I guess. 9 and 4. And 4 actually matters because they only had threes up, but we didn't know that. We go 8, that's going to flip 5, which is going to combo through to flip 6, which is going to flip 3. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards on board, a seventh in hand, and they only have a single capture at the end because they cannot retake the card in 4. Flipping the card in 4 actually was really important here, but we cannot possibly rely on that, I think. So I think that's a win that, like, yeah. Is it though? Does that really win? The and actually, they don't have to play 3998 and 2. They could play 3898 and 2, which doesn't combo, which means when we play 8, but it doesn't matter if it comboed because 6 is already theirs. So we would combo back there, and that's also a win for us. So they couldn't go 2. They'd have to start in 7, and then we'd have to make the correct call between 2 and 8, and we would have had to pick 2, not 8, and we didn't really have a good card for 2. Now, we should be confident they have 2, so we should block 2, not 8, even if we don't have a good card there. And then I guess we also win that line? So I guess 1 was winning. The other move would have won as the game was likely to play out. But I am really skeptical that we could rely on this. And I think this game, I think I played this the better way, even seeing the cards. And this is maybe the wrong way to think, because if you go, well, the other way would have worked, but I don't like it, therefore what I did is right, then you will never be able to find better things than what you did. Because even when you look at them and see that they would be better, if you still conclude your way is better, then you just can't change or figure new things out. That said, the way we played it, as it happened, against their exact cards, they needed to take a 6 to tie. The other way, they would have needed to take a 4 to tie. Can we really say that way was better? No, we can't. I think this was the right way to play it, both in general and given their specific cards, unless we really knew their exact cards. But if we knew the range of their cards, I think going 8 first was still better. Interesting game. Glad to sneak out a tie there. Was lucky to have combo potential where I did. Obviously, both relied on them having no up power at all, or we wouldn't have had this option. But this way, one tied, but two would have also tied. We weren't reliant on having the combo in one to hold here. It just helped a whole lot, gave us winning chances. So, interesting game. I think that'll be all I do today. 5 games undefeated at close with 3 second turns and some shaky hands. Not bad, not bad. Definitely easily could have lost many of these games, but we'll pretend we're results oriented. Don't be results oriented. Be process oriented. I think I'm playing pretty decently in these games though, and I'd wanted to get up some closed games that hopefully were decently played as I give a lot of examples of open play, but not so many of closed. I know people think very differently in closed, right? There are people who say there's cards in 1, 5, and 8. So what I think of as a J. If there's cards in 1, 5, and 8, there are people who play 2 a lot. There are people who play 9 a lot. The MC corner is 7. There's people that really look for 3 or to slide in 4. And there's just so many different preferences in those positions, and whichever you have really draws you. And I'm sure there's ones that are better, like mathematically better than others, and that you should be drawn to some more than others. But there is a clear range among good players. And so I think a lot of players after 1, 5, 8 look at 2 really heavily. And I look at 2 as kind of my fourth priority move. And I think a lot of players, including players that are certainly better than me at close, like this is not saying, oh, look at the idiots who look at 2 there. I'm saying I probably don't look at 2 with as much interest as I should, because it sure seems like a lot of the top players play in 2 there. On the other hand, if you are doing something different than the top players, it is possible that's where you can get some edge against them. But usually that's the wrong way of thinking. Usually it's just, oh, all the really good players are doing this more than me. I have to consider this more than I do. And that doesn't mean I have to go from playing it, 10% of the time to 60%, but it does mean I got to take this more seriously.